It's much worse. I've been a police officer for a long time now. I've just seen it going from being very, very good to being absolutely terrible. There are 5 problems with the police.
5 problems? Okay, hit me.
Morale, experience, training, and leadership. So I'd love you to play the clip when Theresa May was warned by the Police Federation that what her cuts would have consequences, and she told the Met Federation they were a crying wolf.
Today you've said that neighbourhood police officers are an endangered species. I have to tell you that this kind of scaremongering does nobody any good. It doesn't serve you, it doesn't serve the officers you represent, and it doesn't serve the public.
Her words have come by to her in the back. So first is experience. We have no experienced police officers left. All the sensible police officers left, all the good police officers left. We now have nearly 50, 60, 70% of all frontline police officers have less than 4 years service.
James, just to jump in, why did they leave?
Why would you stay? Your pay's cut, your pension's taken away from you. Why would you stay? So the 20-odd years of policing, I'm at quite a high rank, I'm earning less than £60,000 a year.
Right. And you've seen in that time your force, your colleagues effectively decimated.
Well, people just come to work and cry because they can't cope. It's awful. People who are good people, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. The pay in the police is terrible. 26% pay freeze I've had. So a cut over the pay freeze, the cuts. So 26% now. The junior doctors have gone on strike, everyone else has gone on strike, the police cannot.
Well, that's the thing is you can't go on strike.
We're over a barrel, so the government can do what the heck they want to us because they can. And they do, and they hate us. Ever since Plebgate, ever since we looked at Leveson, all those things, the government decided they despise the police, and the Tories hate the police. Their actions show it very clearly.
Well, of course, they'd say they're the party of law and order. They're the party that's recruiting 20,000 new officers.
Every part of the criminal justice system is absolutely broken. They've completely smashed probation, courts, barristers, police, CPS, youth justice. Everything has broken. It's completely destroyed under this government. They have destroyed the police.
And you're saying, James, that is entirely because of the funding cuts we saw at the start of the day.
100% of the cuts. If I told you you're going to work for 30 years and at the end of it you get a nice pension, you take the rubbish hours, you take the rubbish conditions. If you came to my station and saw it stinks of urine because the sewer system doesn't work, and I have to work in there all the time, the aircon doesn't work, everything's broken. So everything is bad. And the only good thing about it used to be we could put villains away. That was all that kept us going, putting villains in prison, because I hate villains. I hate them. And yet every single day I can't do it because something doesn't work. 4% detection rate on crimes, that's embarrassing. It's utterly shameful as a country that we're there. I'm ashamed to be a police officer, not only because of people like Carrick, but it's because of the leadership we've had. Appeasing the politicians. Bernard Hogan Howe, hang your head in shame. You were put into place as a hatchet man and destroyed the police with your mate Theresa May. All the experience gone. The training's woeful. They've closed all the training centres down. Hendon's gone. Wrighton's gone. All gone. The police officers get trained at universities by people who aren't police officers to do police work. All the streetcraft gone. Peter was right. You know, you learn by osmosis as a police officer. You learn by watching other people who are better at their job than you are, teaching how it's done. You know, if everyone's under 25 years old and less than 2 years service on a team, going out pushing uniform cars around all day long, what do you think is going to happen? You haven't got an old hand saying, son, this is how it's done.
How big a problem is that, James? Because the government will say, look, these figures, the fact that crimes aren't being tackled, that's exactly why we are increasing numbers again. We're recruiting 20,000 police officers. But it's not just about numbers, is it?
So, say, for example, you are a professional football team and you've got the world's best, you know, you've built a team and built a team and built a team. Then you let all your stars go for free and you play your under-16 team. That's what's happened to the police. So how do you expect the police officers to be able to... So, you know, you don't replace, you know, Neymar with little Johnny who's playing within the 14s. You replace Neymar with Mbappe. That's how it goes. And then the police, we've just lost all the experience. You don't expect people to learn. It takes 5 years to become a good detective.
So even with numbers having increased almost to where they were 13 years ago, you're saying it's going to take years for that expertise and that experience to be built up again? No,
but they won't have that expertise. It's gone. All the arts of being a police officer, how to work people over, how to interview people, how to question people, how to get people on side, turn them into informants. All of those things have gone.
That's
They've all
really
gone.
frightening. That's really frightening, James,
No,
because what you're telling me is, even in a few years, even 10 years, that institutional insight, that institutional experience still won't be there because the people who would normally pass it on to the next generation have gone.
They've thrown the baby out of the bathwater. That's what they've done. They've thrown it all out. I can't begin to tell you how bad it is. And there are people like me, 20 odd years left. So instead of working 30 years, I've got to work 40 years for less pension and for worse conditions. The whole system is broken. Our leadership is awful. They're not police officers anymore. They're a bunch of college entrants who think they know what they're talking about because their leadership is playing second 11 hockey at school and they were the captain. You know, I can't begin to tell you the whole police system is broken.
You're doing a pretty good job. You're doing a pretty good job of expelling it out, James, and it's pretty terrifying, frankly, because it's not a short-term thing. Can I just ask you about practicality? We're talking about crimes like assault. We're talking about crimes like burglary, criminal damage. From your experience, if you were in the station and a call comes in about a theft, a burglary, an assault, harassment, realistically, what happens?
So uniform go out and blast to it, try and do what they can, but they're so short-staffed. So when the Tories talk about we're increasing police officers, the most important thing, and Peter touched on this, they've cut the police staff, the support staff, the people who worked out the duties, the people who worked out the payroll, the people who did all those things, you know, how to build, writing paperwork, all of those things are now done by police officers who cost twice as much. So if you've got someone who's got more than 10 years in the police as a constable, they get paid £40,000 a year, okay? You get two typists for £20,000, but you've got a police officer doing the typist role worse than the typist could. Does that make sense? So all our police staff who were brilliant have all gone. All that experience has gone because they weren't police officers, so police officers can't be sacked, where the police staff can. They're all booted out. So police officer numbers are high, but they're all doing desk jobs. They're all doing desk jobs. So if you looked at the actual effectiveness of your workforce, they're all behind desks and all older people, bonkers. All the experiences. So all the experiences away from the front line, and the entire front line are headless lambs being sent for slaughter every single day by incompetent leaders. Oh,
James, that is one of the most damning, devastating, eviscerating calls that I think I've ever taken on LBC about the state of policing and how politicians and police leaders have allowed it and enabled it to get so bad. I knew things were bad. I've got to admit, I didn't know they were as bad as the picture you've just painted. And I find it pretty terrifying because what it means is as police numbers increase again, as investment goes up again, the problems aren't going to go away because that expertise, that institutional experience that is so key in any organisation, particularly one like police force, has gone irreversibly. And I find that really, really concerning.